Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, well, this is not according to our regular schedule. We're going to do a Middle East addendum here because the subject is so hot and people are getting hot and bothered about it, which I totally understand. But we're going to look again at another level. Remember, there are numerous levels to this issue, and most of what you hear and read and study is all on the surface level. It's about facts, it's about history, it's pundits telling you what they've concluded from all the outer facts. In other words, almost everything you're hearing is empiricist, colored by the emotions of the person's national origins. Okay, we're trying to avoid that. So we already did a video on the deepest level of this issue. The deepest level is that everything is happening according to plan. Everything is perfect. Everyone is getting their due. And God is behind it all, giving permission for all of this to unfold, and there is a positive process going on. Now that would fly in the face of most people's outer reason and logic, but that should be the deepest belief of any truly spiritual person. It all needs to be, everyone is getting what they deserve to get, and God is in control. So on the deepest level, there's nothing to worry about. As I showed you in some of the recent anecdotes about terrible events and people seeing the other side, literally, of those events. Okay, so what we're going to, so we addressed the spiritual dimension, if you want, the Tawheed, the Advaita Vedanta perspective, which is the Haqq. And Muslims don't, they only like outward Haqq often. They're not very fond of the deeper inner Haqq, as you may have noticed. So this one is more about the psychology. It's another thing that people don't cover, or if you want to be more precise, the psychosociology of what's going on. Okay, now if you get into it too much, people right away accuse you of racial profiling, racism, bigotry, whatever. But the bottom line is peoples are different, and each collectivity has their shtick, if you want to use, pardon the Yiddish expression, but every nation has their quirks and their defects and their fault lines, okay? So, this analysis is going to come from a dream I had a day or two ago. And people who know me know that I give a lot of credence to dreams. I believe very deeply that Allah, God, communicates with us on a regular basis via dreams. Many other ways also, scriptures, etc., prophets, wise people, saints, but also on a day-to-day basis via dreams. So this is the dream I had the other night, and then we'll explain it. So I was traveling, I'm not sure where, and I came to a very old hotel, which was like a house. It reminded me of a hotel we stayed at in Tangiers, Morocco. It's a very old house. And the rooms were very small. When I came into the hotel, someone told me 2 children had died. And I could see their crayons on a coffee table. And I said, what happened? What did they die from? And they said it was some kind of messed up game suicide. Game/suicide. Okay, I let that sit. I won't give you the associations until after. Then I looked for a place to stay, and where I could sleep the night, and there were only 2 rooms left. They were very small with very, very narrow entrances. So I said to the person who was showing it to me, I couldn't stay there because I have to get up at night, We get at my age, we get prostate problems. I have to get up at night. I couldn't sleep there. Is it okay if I sleep in the open lobby? And my ex, Manira, looked at it. She's my expert in proper behavior, if you want, diplomacy. And I said, is it okay for me to sleep in the lobby? And they said, sure, you can sleep on the couch in the lobby. Okay. Now, when I got up, I think that's it. When I got up from this dream, I first thought it must refer to something going on in my personal life. There's always issues going on in our personal life, and I thought this may be part of it. But I couldn't. Sorry about that. I couldn't find anything to relate to it, and then it hit me. Okay, this is not about my personal life. This is about the Middle East. The two children, the old house is because it's a very old conflict in the Middle East. I give it at least 4,000 years. This conflict between Jews and Arabs ever since Abraham, peace be upon him, had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Those two tribes, their descendants have been fighting for 4,000 years. Okay, so it's a very old conflict. The two children who had died were the children of Israel, who are also the children of Isaac, and the children of Ismail. Those are the ones dying. Okay, why are they dying? What is this play suicide? Because both sides are trying to game the system to their advantage. Neither side is trying to understand the whole picture. They're all trying to game it to their benefit. And it's suicidal in the sense that this is a very self-destructive approach. Hamas is clearly self-destructive, and Israel a little more subtly, very self-destructive also, turning everyone in the region against himself. So these are two children, the children of Ismail and the children of Israel, who are acting in an insincere, suicidal way. That is the basis of this entire problem. The two rooms, why are the two rooms, why is the entrance, the two rooms are the rooms of the Jews and the rooms of the Arabs. Why is the entranceway too narrow? Because they're both super narrow-minded peoples who can only see their side of the bargain. They can only see their side of the story. Nothing else. And what is the solution? Well, a possible solution is the open lobby, open-mindedness, sitting down with all the cards on the table and openly discussing and negotiating it. But of course they won't. They won't because they're children. And the other element in this entire situation is that there ain't any adults in the room, or at least any of the potential adults in the room are not honest brokers. Neither the Americans, who have their own agenda and their own political interests, and have not done a very good job about being balanced in this dossier, nor the UN, which is ineffective, splintered, impotent, essentially. The UN, there are no adults in the room, let alone China, Russia, Iran. I think it's fair to call them the axis of evil, although America and Europe has plenty of evil as well, but it's fair to call those others more evil, more the axis of evil. None of these are honest brokers. So we're left with a huge dilemma, and maybe the only people who have the answer here are the people who believe in the Messiah and the apocalypse. It's like it has to get worse before it gets better. So that's my hopefully balanced, non-bigoted, non-unilateral analysis of what is going on. and why the problem can't be solved, at least for the meantime. Oh yeah, a little footnote here. You'll notice, if you look in the history, that the Jews and the Arabs were not fighting with each other during the Ottoman Empire. I don't know of any, maybe someone who studied history can find me exceptions to that, but generally it was quiet. And it wasn't because there weren't any Jews in Palestine. There were Jews in Palestine all the time, especially in the 1600s. There were lots of them in Safad. It became a center of learning. And in Jerusalem in the middle of the 19th century, the majority of the population was Jewish. So it wasn't because of a lack of Jews and Arabs that there was no fighting. But people knew that the Ottoman Empire didn't put up with this kind of, I don't know what to call it, another Yiddish term, mishigas, this kind of craziness. They'll bring in the troops and clear it out. No one played around with them. But with America, with Russia, with Saudi Arabia, everyone could play around because they're all looking out for their own interests and they aren't that concerned about principles of justice and peace. So, where is that force? Where is that superior force? It doesn't exist. Another example I give, people in America might find this funny, but we don't have any problem with the Mohawks and the Iroquois in Quebec fighting with each other, or in Canada. None of the Indian tribes in North America are fighting with each other. And they had the same tribal, they were fighting like the Jews and the Arabs for possibly thousands of years. No fighting going on. Why not? Because again, there's a superior force, which is the West, okay? There are lots of caveats about the things that the West did wrong, but one thing they did right, they stopped all tribal conflict between the Indians. So, this is some new material. Please don't be like some foolish people on Facebook who with reflex, knee-jerk reactions. You know, think about it. These are new thoughts. This is some relatively original thinking. So don't just reject it on some bigoted, knee-jerk response reflex. Think about it. Maybe someone will come up with something like a solution. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope this clarifies some confusions that you've had. Salam alaikum.